Boom. Greetings from YouTubeville. Once again, Danny Savage, Draft Guru, coming at you with Mock Draft 5.0. First round, 32 team mock draft. I have put out 66 Dallas mock drafts. Like I said, don't hate me. I'm a Cowboys fan. We're also at 606 draft prospects so far on the season. I say on the season since May. I started, and we're at 606. Today we're doing mock draft 5.0 for all 32 NFL teams. Tomorrow I'll be coming out with 5 to 10 more prospects and Dallas Cowboy mock draft 67.0. Now, people, listen, man. This is a 32 team channel. If you don't get your star player, it's January 23rd at 17:37 hours. I'm going to be doing about 90 more of these. So just because your favorite player doesn't get called, don't think like it's not going to happen. Also, too, when I put out the amount of players and I also do the amount of mock drafts I do you really want me to come here and talk about the same people every single day? But look around at all the other draft channels. On an off week, still the best beard on YouTube. See how many players they're at. We're at 606 on our way to 800. All right. First pick in the draft, the Tennessee Titans pick Cam Ward, quarterback. I don't think they're 100% happy with the quarterback situation they have. And I'm going to be honest with you. It's a horrible quarterback draft. Legit. Horrible. It is what it is, man. So, listen, maybe a lot of teams will save themselves, a lot of capital by using draft picks to, go after guys that are not there. You're not going to see 4 or 5 quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not. It's a below average draft to begin with. I legit have 10 to 12 players with a first round grade, but it is what it is. Cleveland Browns. They're going to start off with, I think the Browns are going to be a little gun shy towards Shedeur Sanders. And I know Dion's going to say, yeah, my son's not playing in Cleveland. And if any of you don't think that's going to happen, you don't watch football. The Cleveland Browns select Travis Hunter, wide receiver / corner, University of Colorado, but his days of going both ways are over. They're definitely over. He's going to be sticking to one position. Mean Mug, what's up? What's up? Thank you for jumping in the chat. What's up, Savage? You ever get a chance? Yes, I did, bro. Yo, the kid's like 6'1", 190. He's got. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. For as high as he is, I definitely went over him, especially when I did Deion Walker from Kentucky. It's just when I have all these names in my head, he just didn't pop off the board. But yeah, he's like 6'1", 190, and he's like everyone's giving him like a second round grade. So once I go through all my books and do my final rankings, I definitely went over him already. And if I didn't, it's easy. It is easy to miss people sometimes, but it's a below average corner draft. So he's going to go. He's definitely going to go. Kentucky in general, has a couple of decent players. Number 3, New York Giants. That's still wiping their tears from letting Saquon go. But yo, Saquon was not the issue with the Giants. It was the offensive line. But just to shut up their fan base, they're going to draft Austin Gentry, running back, Boise State. That's the New York Giants. At 4, the New England Patriots take 6'5", 200 pounds, and he's a freak of nature. Tetairoa McMillan, bro, the kid just goes up, boom, grabs the ball out of the sky with one hand. He's a red zone threat, and he's been my number 1 wide receiver since the summertime. At 6, we got the Jaguars. They're going to play it conservative, and getting the top corner and Will Johnson from Michigan is not all that bad. If Tetairoa McMillan is there for them, they will jump on him at 5, but he wasn't. So that's what it is. Next on the board is the Raiders. The autumn win is a Raider. And Shedeur Sanders is on the board, and that's who the Raiders pick. And he's a perfect fit for Vegas. Him and his dad, Flash. He's a perfect fit for the Las Vegas Raiders. Am I out as high on him as a lot of other people? No. King Leo, what's up? Thank you for jumping in the chat, man. Let me down the board, definitely. Yeah, this is my mock draft 5.0, 32 teams. So I've done 4 of them. This is 5. So, like I said, people that just don't get mad at me, man, if I don't say the right player for your team. This is my 5th one, and I'm going to throw another 100 at least of these at you from now until April. This is a draft channel, 12 months out of the year, 365, 24/7. Jay Grahm, thank you for jumping in the chat. At 6, we got the JETS, Jets, and they are just a disaster of an organization. But Aaron Glenn should fix them. Does he have to stick up with Aaron Rodgers for another year? I don't know. But and Aaron Rodgers probably ain't gonna like this pick, but too bad. Malaki Starks, safety, Georgia. Jets have a legit defense, but they're saying Sauce Gardner wants out. But I think, if they start winning, he'll stay. And Malaki Starks is pretty much, you can flip a coin, man. In my opinion, it's either him or Xavier Watts for the number 1 safety position. I would love to see Sanders with the Raiders. Yeah, I think that's going to happen, because it's a really below average draft. I mean, I'm pretty sure the last 2 drafts in a row, the Raiders took tight ends. So, Shedeur's going to be passed to a lot of tight ends. Number 8, we got the Carolina Panthers. They have to protect their quarterback, and we give him, and I'm not really even that high on this kid, Will Campbell, left tackle out of LSU. A lot of people are down on him because they're saying his arms are like an inch short. Listen, bro, I nitpick, but I go football. I go tape first, traits second, combine third, medical. I go with the combine. This kid has gotten it done, but it just seems they're not as high as him as in past years' offensive tackles. But for the offensive line in general, this is a below draft for the offensive line. It's not going to be like last year when we were, we got a little souped up and like 7 offensive tackles went. That's not happening this year, people. It's not. People talk at arm length is lazy scouting. 100% it is. It is. And listen, I draft football players. I do not draft workout warriors. But yet you're going to see some workout warriors on here because some teams only go for traits. And then, in the past years, you've had coaches like Jimmy Johnson, like Bill Belichick, They drafted football players. If you can play, you can play. Tape don't lie, bro. There's a saying, he looks like Tarzan, but he plays like Jane. But yet every year in the NFL, we see 10 coaches, 10 GMs getting fired pretty much every year. So these dudes get paid millions to make these mistakes. So, number 9, man, the Saints are on the board. And if you don't know this name, you will know this name the closer we get to the draft. James Pearce, edge, Tennessee. Kid has ridiculous size, 6'5", 260, and his production is there. And the Saints, in my opinion, are going to look to bolster the defensive linemen. Either they're going to go after a D end or another D tackle. I could have threw Mason Graham here, and you having Mason Graham next to Brian Burress, bro, that is a sick combo that you can have for the next decade. But I threw James Pearce Jr. because do you really want to hear me talk about the same people? Mock draft 6.0 edition. So I have to switch things around, and we can agree. You could be a fan of everybody, but every team has numerous needs. It's not just one. So we got to just throw people around. At 10, Chicago Bears. They got to get their young quarterback Caleb Williams some help. Luther Burden, the third. I told you, man, he made a business decision this past fall. He wasn't going out there and killing himself. 2023 had like 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns. Last year, this past season, 2024, I think he was at like 600 with about 5 TDs. He straight up made a business decision not to get hurt, to get on to the next level. And hey, I can't hate him because a lot of kids do that. This pick hurts right now. It really does. San Fran is on the board, and they take Abdul because everybody knows, unfortunately, I'm a Cowboys fan, but the Cowboys just straight suck they have, let me just get on with this pick. San Fran goes Abdul because last time I threw you as an offensive tackle because your O-line is Asian, but Abdul, I would be shocked if he gets out of the top 5, to be honest with you. The kid is just a freak. He's a linebacker in my eyes. He's not an edge. And anyone that tries to sell you a bullshit story, he's an edge, he's not. Because if you put this kid, don't get me wrong, he has crazy bend. But if you put him at edge, he's going to wear down like Michael Parsons. I like King Leo. I like Emeka over Luther Burden. But the last draft I did, I put Emeka first. So like I said, I always got to talk about different players because nobody wants to hear their team getting the same person every single mock draft. But I have Egbuka rated higher than Luther Burden. I have Tetairoa McMillan as my number 1. You even go Travis Hunter. Burden, like I said, I'm just throwing different names around. Of course, if you're a Chicago fan, you just don't want to hear the same player every week. And even with the Dallas guys, I've done 66 Dallas mocks, and tomorrow I'll be dropping 67.0 with 5 more. Next is the Miami Dolphins, and the quarterback's brains are like scrambled. Tua's brains are scrambled eggs, man. So last time I gave you Arante Izere, tackle Minnesota. Now I'm throwing Josh Simmons at you, just because he has prototypical size. He has good length. He was having a good year at Ohio State before he went down with a knee injury. Listen, you could either throw in Banks at this position. You could throw Wyatt Mullen, but I do think the Miami Dolphins have to protect Tua, and they have to go with the offensive line. And honestly, They can probably take Josh Simmons and throw him at right tackle because they're going to have Patrick Paul, last year's third-round pick out of Houston, and he's probably going to be their starting left tackle if Teron Armstead is cut in a salary cap move. Next is the Colts, man, and they got to get Richardson, Richardson is made of glass, man. It's like this kid is hurt every other week. There was one game like the beginning of the season. He tapped his head. He went out of the game because he was tired. Whew. I'd hate, whoever the dogs are on that team, they should have had a meeting with that dude, man, in the locker room when no one else was around. But he's a young quarterback, and we're giving the Colts Egbuka, wide receiver, Ohio State. He could have came out in 2023, this kid, to be honest with you. But he had an ankle injury, and in my opinion, if he would have came out in 2023, Egbuka, he would not have been a first-round pick just because the wide receiver class was so deep in 2023. This year he's not. He had a great year, and it's crazy. The best wide receiver on that team, Jeremiah Smith, is only 19, yet he would be a first-round draft pick as a true freshman. And that kid is 19 years old and could start right now in the NFL. That's crazy, man. But I get Randy Moss vibes when I look at Jeremiah Smith. I haven't said that in a really long time. Next pick is the Atlanta Falcons. This kid is flying up the board. Mike Green, edge, Marshall. Let me tell you something. This kid is legit 6'4", 250, and people are sleeping on him. This kid has bend and get to the quarterback. And I could be mistaken, but since I was a kid, the only other Marshall first rounders that I ever saw was Randy Moss, because Randy Moss graduated from Marshall, and then Chad Pennington. He's going to have a big week at the Senior Bowl. Yeah, it's crazy though, Leo, man. If you check it out, and it's odd, but no. Some of the best talent picked to go to the East-West Shrine game instead of the Senior Bowl. Look at the East-West Shrine. Of course, the East-West Shrine game is in AT&T Stadium. Both Sanders and Travis Hunter said we're going to the East-West Shrine. But both, I like both of those games, watching both of them. But Mike Green is, people are sleeping on him. Arizona Cardinals, they need some offensive line to protect their midget quarterback. Because let's be honest, the dude's a straight midget, Kyle Murray. Do I think he's going to lead them to the promised land? No. But I think with Marvin Harrison, it's such a crazy draft. They will get a running back, but I gave them Kelvin Banks, offense, left tackle, Texas. This is a kid that people are nitpicking on because of his height, but yet he's like 6'4", and I like to comp people. His build is like Trent Williams. Jar Jar Binks, bro. What's up? Thank you for jumping in the chat. Banks's build reminds me of Trent Williams. Now, Banks is only 6'4", yet when he stands up, he looks like he can tie his shoes. That's how long his arms are. So we all know this ain't me. We all know what the NFL likes to do with shorter, good left tackles. They like to slide him inside to left guard. I think you'd be doing this kid a disservice, but he's a left tackle in my eyes. And like I said, it's a below average year for offensive line. So the top three tackles, you can flip a coin, bro. You really, really could. Next at 17, man, the Bengals, they're just a train wreck, man. They need so much, man. They really do. But to be at 17 and to arguably get the number one corner in the draft, that would be a nice treat. Benjamin Morrison, corner, Notre Dame. Like I said, we're just throwing different names all the way around because this is draft 5.0 and I can't say the same names for everyone's teams. Next, in the real world, this kid's never going to get this low. But Seattle Seahawks, they need some help on interior D line, and I gave you guys Mason Graham. I've said when I saw Mason Graham when Mason Graham was a true freshman, Mason Graham was a better defensive tackle than Mozzie Smith. And I said that. And he was a true freshman. Year before, when they had Jenkins, Mason Graham was better than Jenkins. And Mason Graham is not a typical Michigan defensive tackle. He does not sit back and catch blocks. No, no, no. The kid is 6'3", 330 and change, has violent hands, jacks up the offensive lineman, does not want to dance with them. He tosses them to the left or the right, and he either gets upfield or vertical. The kid is crazy with his vertical speed. My opinion, he doesn't get out of the top 10. But yet there's going to be people people from Dallas are going to say, I don't want no Michigan players. But what about Aiden Hutchinson? Would you draft him? He went to Michigan. How about Rashawn Gary on the Packers? He went to Michigan. Don't scout the helmet, scout the player. Next, Tampa, their D-line is getting a little bit older. So, and we all know Vita Vea is getting up in age. So, just to help out that D-line, I threw in another big Michigan defensive tackle, and I am nowhere near as high on him as I am Mason Graham. And this kid is Kenneth Grant. He's a legit 6'4", 340, and he would be a nice wide body that you could put him even next to Vita Vea, or they can spell each other. Next is the Denver Broncos, and I got them taking Jahir Barron, cornerback, Texas, another kid flying up the draft boards. The only problem with Denver is, man, they're a young team, and they're always going to be playing second fiddle to Kansas City. But they're a team to watch out for. They really are, because they're young. They're very, very young. Next pick is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers usually draft conservative, nothing flashy. They hardly ever trade up. Last mock draft, I gave the Pittsburgh Steelers Jack Sawyer, defensive end out of Ohio State. He's a 6'5", 260 pound blue collar edge. For this draft, I gave you guys at 21 Pittsburgh Steelers, Omarion Hampton, running back, North Carolina. Let me tell you something. This kid is a bruiser. He has like 1,500-yard seasons last year. So 2023, he had 900 yards after contact. And he's like, if I hear Austin Gentry's name, another guy, I'm going to vomit, because he's good for that team that's one player away. But whoever takes Austin Gentry, and in this draft, I had him going 3 to the Giants. When you see the talent at running back that's on the board, round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5, round 6, round 7, you're going to vomit and wish you never took Austin Gentry with your first round pick. Because running back, and I've said it since May, is the deepest position in April's draft. And Omarion Hampton is a typical Pittsburgh blue-collar tough runner. Will get you the tough yards, and late in the year in the playoffs, bad weather, you got to run the ball. We have no clue what they're going to be doing with the quarterback situation. Uh, I would think Russell Wilson would come back. I mean, I don't see another team offering him a bag. He might, who knows. Uh, Next, you've got the Chargers. Last time, it only makes sense. I gave you Colston Loveland. So he reunites with his college coach. But this time, and this kid, I'm super high on this kid. Mikel Williams, Georgia. This kid is a legit freak. 6'6, 260, lines up where he wants, does what he wants. Had an ankle injury this year, so he was a little bit nicked up. But he would line up defensive tackle, he would line up edge. In my opinion, at the next level, he's going to have to make a decision and or put on, he's going to either have to stay at edge or throw on more weight to play with the big boys inside. I think he's a prototypical. Listen, we all know NFL teams, they like their prototypical 4-3 edges to be like 6'5, 6'6, tall, slender, and have crazy length and long arms. And he checks all that off of that. And if anyone has any questions about Mikel Williams, I said it before the season started. Texas had the best offensive line in college football, and watch Georgia's two games against Texas. I watched Mikel Williams. Next kid is the Green Bay Packers. Next team is the Green Bay Packers. They're a young team. So we're going to give their quarterback, who's young, also a weapon to play with. Colston Loveland, tight end from out of Michigan. Listen, it's early. Don't be shocked. To me, I got Tyler Warren at Penn State. He's my number one. He's my number one guy. But like I said, man, Green Bay, Colston Loveland. Do not be shocked if Harold Fannin, tight end from Bowling Green, jumps over him at tight end. Don't be shocked because Harold Fannin is going to have, he's going to go off at the combine. But to me, Colston Loveland is a much better run blocker. And I don't see Harold Fannin contributing anything in the run blocking department. But don't be shocked. He flips over him. Minnesota Vikings, man, they had a good season for nothing. So we're giving them edge. Shamar Stewart, Texas A&M. This kid is a strictly a traits pick. His production wasn't really all that, but like I said, certain teams have drafted. You could pick teams that have patents. The Raiders, for example, as long as you can run a 4-2, 4-3, they're drafting you. They don't care if you can't catch the ball. They're drafting you. Pittsburgh, England Patriots, Giants, they always draft, like nothing flashy, but that's who we're giving the Vikings, Shamar Stewart, and you can't really say they have a lot of needs except maybe they will draft a running back in this draft, plus an offensive lineman, so I could have went there. Now, this is another reason why everybody should go back to the summer. Everyone is blowing up. I probably pronounced his name wrong, but the Rams are on the board, and we all know they're probably going to part ways with Cooper Kupp. Elick Iamore. It's ironic. So ironic. This kid is blowing up. And I gave you him in the summertime. I put his name out there in the summertime because he caught my eye in 2023. And now they're talking about him as a second-round pick, possible first. But yet, I put it, and yo, my tape don't lie. I gave you him in the summertime. Next, Baltimore Ravens are on the board. And don't be shocked if they go tight end after Mark Andrews, the way he played. But they also have Coastal Carolina's Isaiah Likely on that team. And he's a good tight end, number 2. So we're going to go defense. And this kid, if you wanted to draw up a 5-tech in a lab, it's him. And that's Landon Jackson, edge, Arkansas. This kid is 6'7", 290. He's a perfect 5-tech in a 3-4 defense. He's so athletic. He can play edge at 290. He can slide in and also play a 3-tech. And this kid is just a beast. And the closer we get to the draft, this kid, and I guarantee you, he's going to blow up at the combine, Landon Jackson. Next is the Detroit Lions, man. Listen, man, like they just have to be Dan Campbell is a very good head coach, but his decision-making process is leaves, a lot to be desired. And it seemed like they were very, very flat before they played the Redskins. It seemed like they thought they had the Redskins beat before they even played them. Weird game. But I could have threw you an offensive lineman to beef the O-line up, but I threw out Jihad Campbell, linebacker, Alabama, 6'4", legit 250. Now, I could have either gave you him or the line. I could have gave the Lions a defensive tackle, but I went Jihad Campbell because now you put Jihad Campbell next to Jack Campbell from Iowa on the Lions. Nobody's running up the middle on you next year. And Jihad Campbell lines up where he wants to. Listen, this is another kid. He is flying up the boards, and he's only going to get after the combine. He's going to just take off. Next is the Washington Redskins, Commanders, whatever you want to call them. I could care less. Listen, man, and I've said this the entire year. They get a running back, they could be a scary team. And I'm throwing out there Caleb Johnson, running back, Iowa. Yo, he had 1,600 yards, I believe, 21 touchdowns, something like that, in the Big Ten. That stands out. My only issue, and I'm a nitpicker, and I say I am, my only issue with Caleb Johnson is he's a one-year wonder. So I'm like, where were you all the other years? But I will grant it and say, even Iowa, they run a very, very conservative offense. This past year, they opened it up a little more. Next is we got Buffalo on the board, and I'm giving you offensive tackle Josh Connolly. You could probably slide him into left tackle or left guard. You gave Brown, your right tackle, a huge contract. So I went with Josh Connolly, tackle from Oregon. Or you could see the Bills go wide receiver or running back at this pick. Like I said, I'm just throwing out different names. Drafts would be boring if I'm giving you the same draft with everyone's names. Next is the Philadelphia Eagles. And Lane Johnson can only play so much, in my opinion. And listen, I'm not even as high on this kid as everyone else is. Yet I've seen him play when he was a freshman. His name is Tyler Booker, guard, Alabama. But I wouldn't, how can I phrase this? I wouldn't have a problem putting him at right tackle. The kid's like 6'6", 350. He's from Connecticut. I watched him play his freshman year in high school in New Jersey at Bergen Catholic. And then after his freshman year, He went to IMG, and then from IMG he went to Bama. He's just a massive individual. I think the last draft I gave Philly fans Cameron Williams, right tackle out of Texas. Last pick makes me sick to my stomach. Kansas City Chiefs, man. We all know it's going to be halftime. They're going to be losing. Kelsey's going to whip out Swifty's thong. They're all going to sniff it, get back to life, come out rejuvenated. I gave Patrick Mahomes a wide receiver, and I gave you this kid in the summer before anyone, and I nicknamed him the Spanish Wes Welker. His name is Xavier Restrepo from the University of Miami. Think of the lineage of wide receivers that have come from the U. He's broken all their records. He is, when he runs his 40-yard dash, he is not going to set no records. He is more quick than fast, finds a way to get open. He did not drop a single pass this past season. You put him on the Kansas City Chiefs. He's a 1,000-yard receiver with double-digit touchdowns. Legit. So, I don't even know if I was like, I got to go over it. I don't even know if I did Dallas's. I just went. I went over. I skipped it. But for Dallas, I think I did and not say it. But for Dallas picking 12, and like I said, you can't be mad at me because I can't talk about the same player every single week. I gave the Cowboys Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren is my number one tight end. He's 6'6", 260. He's a bigger version of Jeremy Shockey, and I think he's more athletic than Gronkowski. Tyler Warren had over 1,000 yards, 117 was the Bowling Green kid. But Tyler Warren had 1,000 yards. And he caught my eye in 2023 when I was scouting Theo Johnson. But I gave you, instead of reaching from an offensive tackle, which Dallas needs, I went BPA and I went Tyler Warren because he lined up at tight end, he lined up at wide receiver, he lined up at quarterback, he lined up at running back, he lined up at center. You know, for when it's 14 inches, do you want him back there who's 6'6", 260, or do you want 30-year-old Dak on one leg? I want him. Dallas has been trying to run a two tight end set since Bill Parcells was there for the last 20 years. I can rattle off by name like 4. Even though Jason Witten was on the team, I could rattle off like 4 tight ends that Dallas drafted in round 2. And it never happened. So like I said, more times than not, when you reach for need, you get burnt versus BPA. Let's be honest. Schoolmaker, he's going to be 27 this year. He really hasn't showed us that much. Ferguson had a down year. Was he nicked up? Yes. They also got my other guy he was my 9th ranked tight end last year, Brevin Spann-Ford, an undrafted free agent out of Minnesota who made the team and pretty much was active all year, but he ain't much more than a run blocker. So, and we all know when Dak's first read is not there, he panics. So if they have Tyler Warren on the team, he just dumped the ball to Ferguson or Tyler Warren. That's a nice combination to have. So I went BPA with the Dallas pick. Tomorrow, I will be dropping 4 more draft prospects. So tomorrow, we should be at like 6'11", I think. 6'11" or 6'15", somewhere around there. And I'll be dropping a Dallas draft 67.0. Also, you got to check out the Frisco report. Comes on Wednesday nights, Thursday nights. Joe Roderick, Mike. They spit facts. They're not going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to say the truth when it comes to Dallas. Like I said, don't hate me, people. I'm a Dallas fan because there's very few Dallas content creators that say it like it is. The majority of them are all delusional, and they act like they want to work for Dallas. You also got to check out Cowboys Corner. Same thing. He comes on Saturday nights talking crazy. You got a fifth quarter quarterback. He comes on Monday nights and Friday nights, Freaky Fridays. We got Cowboys Fiend, OG like myself, spitting out facts. Got 1980s Cowboy, another guy spitting out facts. We're not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you bullshit. Also, we got Eshawn, Hollywood's newest up-and-coming producer at Paladonian Films. Production. We're not going to sit here like all those other Dallas channels and talk about Dak Prescott for the entire hour. I'd rather drink bleach than talk about Dak Prescott for an hour. And my personal opinion is a lot of these Dallas channels are going to fold because when Dak Prescott leaves the team, who are you going to talk about? And we have, free agency is coming up. We all know Dallas doesn't spend anything in free agency. They just bring in camp bodies. So basically, we have the draft to look forward to. And I've given you 66 Dallas mock drafts already. Tomorrow, I'll be dropping Dallas mock draft 67 because we all know. Also, check out King Leo's channel. He has a channel on TikTok and YouTube. He puts out good content himself, man, and you could tell he knows what he's talking about. He's not one of these, people that just look at a helmet and just, or he's not someone that just talks about like the top 5 people in the draft and then nobody else knows anyone else. So also check out his channel on. I don't have a TikTok. I'm too old for TikTok, so. You can check me out, Danny Savage, Chef Guru, YouTube, and that's my Twitter. But basically, I listen, man, this is draft since day one. 365 days out of the year, 24/7. Once in a blue moon, I'll drop a Dallas video, but I've dropped like maybe 20 videos of Dallas. And I just do it to, to vent. More it's more fun than anything because I know they suck. I know they're not going anywhere, and it's all because of the owner, Jerry Jones. I know this might sound brutal, but Jerry Jones should just drop dead and do everybody a favor. What's up, Charlene? Thank you for jumping in the chat. Boom. I just dropped 32-team NFL mock draft 5.0 edition. And tomorrow I'll be dropping Dallas Cowboys mock draft 67.0. Thank you, everybody that's jumped in the chat, because we all know when you're rocking with the GWO, it's for life. Over and out, everybody.